This is clip 8. The Mars in Kedushin, Daftes Vav Amud Aleph. Now, there's Machlokes in the Brisa. That was the first thing that was mentioned after the Mishnah, whether or not there's a difference between Meicher Atzmai and Machru Bezdin. So the Gemara says that the Tanakh says Meicher Atzmai does not get a Hanaka. And the Gemara that's the Tanakh. The other Mandiyama hold that he does get Hanaka. So the Gemara, we're going now. The Gemara is trying to explain the Ukimta of Abaya, that everybody holds Sacher. So why shouldn't they have the same dinim? It says there's a pasuk. There's a pasuk that's mamayit certain dinim. Rashi says the Gzer Shava is used for Shar Mili, and you should really work out what Shar Mili are. I gave you a whole list, but not every one of them could be Shar Mili. What's the reason why the Mandi Amar, the Tanakama says that in Meicher Atzmai you don't have Hanaka? Is he has a pasuk. It says a pasuk by Machro Bez and Hanik Tanik Loi V'loi L'Meicher Atzmai. Yeah, V'idach. The Chachamim, that's actually Rebbe Lozim. What about the pasuk? Why isn't he not Mamayit Hanaka from Loi V'loi L'Meicher Atzmai? He says that he learns that from over there Vlo Lbal Chovo-The because he holds like with Nosen. Nosen says that if A owes B and B owes C, so then C can go to A. He doesn't have to. If he feels that A is a better deal, can easily collect his money. He can go directly to A because it's called Shibuda de Reb Nosen. If somebody's meshubit to a second guy and the second guy's meshubit to a third guy, the third guy gets the shibud of the first guy. So the pasuk teaches me Hanik Tanik Loi Vlo Lbal Chovo-The. You don't say shibud Reb Nosen, since at the end Adon has to give an Eved Ivri Hanaka. So and if the Eved Ivri has debts, so let the creditors go to the Adon and say, give me the Hanaka. So no, can't. So we don't have a miyut for Hanaka. So a Meicher Atzmai does get Hanaka. Yeah. What is the Tanakama? Why does he say Loi V'loi L'Meicher Atzmai? What happened? Why won't he darshan like the Reb Lozer and say that it teaches you Loi V'loi Lbal Chovo-The? So where it says that he doesn't hold of Reb Nosen anyway. So so there's no need to. What's the point of? There's no limud. You can't use. There's no such thing as Shbuda Reb Nosen. So therefore, it's Loi V'loi L'Meicher Atzmai. Now, if there is a machlokes Shaina in this din Loi Lbal Chovo-The. So we paskin that you say that well, at least the Rambam paskins you say that Sachas you learn Sachas but you have a Mir Kro and the Mir Kro is Loi Lbal Chovo-The. Now what are we talking about? So Rashi says, like the tzir I just gave you, that the creditor of the Eved Ivri is going to go to the Adon and say, give me the Hanaka. And the Chiddush is, no. You don't have a right to do that, even though you hold a Shibud Reb Nosen. In this case, no. But the Rambam, that's Rashi. Rashi Tazayin Amalav says, Ein ha'adon mechuyev l'hagvos enik l'bal Chovo-The. He's not mechuyev to allow to collect the Hanaka by the creditor. He could say, no, I can give it to the Eved Ivri. You can't force me to take it away from the Eved Ivri. However, Rambam and Avodim, Perek Gimel, Halacha Tesvav, he says the Enek of Eved Ivri is la'atzmai, and the Bal Chayv can't be goyvet mimenu. And the Mishnah Melech says that Rashi, it's not like Rashi. It's mashma even after you gave the Hanaka to the Eved Ivri, the Baal Chayv, the creditor of the Eved Ivri, can't monoin from it. And even once it's in the hands of once Hanaka, the Hanaka goes into the hands of Eved Ivri, he's also protected. This money is protected. That's how the Mishnah Lamelech learns in the Rambam. Now the Mishnah says when he has a kasha, so then we just said that the Mandi Omer that holds that Machar Atzmai gets Hanaka. He learns that the Chiddush is Vlo Lbal Chovo-The. But Hanaka is the same as you learn from Sacha Sacha. And the other Mandi Amar, that's because he holds he would have had Shibudet Rav Nosson. So he learns so therefore you don't have an extra pasuk to tell me that you don't get Hanaka. The law doesn't refer to Hanaka, so you do get Hanaka. The other Mandi Amar that holds that you because he holds if Shibudet Rav Nosson. So therefore, since you used it up on tell me that you don't have a din of Shibudet Rav Nosson, so you can't use it up to tell me that you don't have a din Hanaka. So you do have a din Hanaka, but a Mandi Amar that says that you don't have a din Hanaka, why didn't he use it on telling me that you can't use Shibudet Rav Nosson? It says because he doesn't hold Shibudet Rav Nosson. Even if he doesn't hold Shibudet Rav Nosson, according to Rama, there's another chiddush implied over here that even after it gets to the hands of the Eved Ivri, he's not going to he's protected from using this money to pay his debts. That even without the din of Shibudet Rav Nosson, I mean, it's got nothing to do with Shibudet Rav Nosson. If a creditor comes over to a debtor and says, "Hey, you got the money, you got Hanaka, pay me," and so the pasuk wants to teach you that even in such a case, without Shibudet Rav Nosson, you're protected. So then, Viter, why did you say that you used the pasuk to teach me that there is no Hanaka? Use this pasuk to teach me that the Vlo Lbal Chovo-The, even when it's not a din of Shibudet Rav Nosson, you don't hold the Shibudet Nosson, fine, but you hold the collection. So that's Mashalah's kasha on Rama. Now the teretz would be the first thing you got to do to give in a search for a teretz is you got to explain why wouldn't he be able to? I mean, a person owns some property, so there's always you owe money, so you got to pay, and it's b'nei chayron. The Gemara says that the din is if you sold off your karka, you can and you have nothing left in your personal assets, so then the creditors go to the loichim, but the lokuchas. But if as long as you have some kind of assets, you have to go to the debtor. So here he got a knocker. Here he has assets. So here, there's collection. I mean, there's got nothing to do with Shibudet Nosson. Here you have money, pay. Yeah. So why would you? What would be the justification? What was the Torah saying? What's the getter? What's the implication of Vlo Lbal Chovo-The if it's talking about after it reaches the Hanaka reaches the Eved Ivri? Why wouldn't you be able to collect from that? You have to say what's the difference between that and all the other assets that a man has? Why can't the Baal Chovo-The collect? The Shach in Chash Mishpat Simon Pei Vav Sifkat and Gimel says that this Shitas Ram holds that Hanaka has a din of tzedakah, and by tzedakah you don't use the tzedakah. If a guy gets tzedakah, he's given tzedakah. He doesn't have to pay his debts with the tzedakah money. This is an oni. An oni received tzedakah, right? So then the creditor can't come over and say, give me you owe me, give me the money that you just got for tzedakah. That's halacha by, and we learned that out from Meiser Oni. That if we learned that out from. And when you used to get Meiser Oni, said that you can't, the creditors can't get it. Now the tzais in Sifkat and Gimel on that, that Simon and Pevav in Chash Mishpat is because he learns the pshat is like this. Because by tzedakah, the nice and tzedakah wants that the makabel should have a parnasa. He should be able to use it for his needs, and not to pay up his debts. So what it boils down to, what it reduces to, and this is the same, and therefore by Hanaka also, it's a noisen almanas she'en Lbal Chovo-The. You can give, according to the Rush, Johnson Chuvas Rush, Klal Ayin Dalid. The Rush holds that you can make a matana. Forget about tzedakah. You can make a matana if you speak out almanas she'en Lbal Chovo-The. The Bal Chovo can't go collect on it because it's only yours. It's only the debtors as Lagava to use for himself. That was the terms of the Kenyan. And so here by tzedakah, even though you don't speak anything else, it's understood. So therefore, that's the rationalization in the Ram Shita of Hanaka, even after it gets to the hands of the Eved Ivri. We haven't got to any teretz for the Mishnah Melech Kasha yet. Rosh Shiva asked a Kasha on this ksais the shach that the pshat is that it's like a t'nai. It's an implied t'nai that the noisen that tzedakah doesn't want. It gives it to only almanas that you should keep it, not use it to pay your debts. Because you learn this out from a Tosefta and Peah in Perek Dalet Halacha Tezayin. It says Ma'aser Sheni ein mashlimin bayis achayv. That's like Tosefta, not the Mishnah. A Tosefta, a special sefer Toseftas on Peah and in Perek Dalet Halacha Tezayin. It's the din is, it says Ma'aser Sheni ein mashlimin bayis achayv. Now, Ma'aser Sheni does not belong. If you're when you take off Truma, then you take off Ma'aser, then you take off Ma'aser Sheni or Ma'aser Ani, it's not yours. All you have, you the Baal Boss, all you have is what's called Tavis Anot. You have the ability to choose who you want to give it to, but it's not yours. It belongs to the Uniyim. It belongs to the people below the poverty line. And Ma'aser Sheni also, the same thing over there. It has to be taken to Yerushalayim. It doesn't belong to you. So therefore, you're not the nicest. So how can you make a Tanai? Almanas she'en Lbal Chovo-The. Yeah. So now, I mean, if you give your own tzedakah, so you can make a Tanai. But if you're giving Ma'aser Sheni, it's not yours. All you have is Tavis Anot. How can you be masna? So how can it be the reason why you can't, the Makabel doesn't have to pay off his debts with it is because it's a matana she'en Lbal Chovo-The. Because I mean obviously the ani is zeicha mitzad din mammon aniyim, not mitzad your nesina. Now there's another kasha you can ask. Ma'aser ani is mischalik b'garen, so that means that if the ani goes into the garan, he doesn't have to wait for the Adam to give it, the Baal Bayis to give it to him. He can just take. And now over there, so there's no nesina at all. This is a Gemara in Chulin, Kuf Lamed Aleph, and a Rambam Matnas Aniyim, Perek Vav Halacha Yud. So what's Sayyim Shaykh, the T'nai She'en Lbal Chovo-The. Okay, so Rosh Shiva says a vort like this. He actually said this Lagabi Hektish, but here we're going to use it for Ma'aser Sheni, Ma'aser Ani. That the I don't mean Ma'aser Sheni, I mean Ma'aser Ani. That the Ani has a right and a schus in Ma'aser Ani is mitzad, not mitzad the any kind of nesina. It's mitzad, and it's not that it belongs to him directly. No, in fact he never gets a real kinyan shaloi in it. The halacha is there's a chalois Ma'aser Sheni. and mitzad and because after Meiser Rishon comes Meiser Sheni. There's Truma, there's Meiser, there's Trumas Meiser, and then there's Meiser Sheni. And Sheni oscillates when you're Meiser Sheni, when you're Meiser Oni. Now, so there's Meiser Oni. Now, the reason why the Oni gets a din in a schus in Meiser Oni money is because it was chal in this money Chaloi Shem Meiser Oni. And so it's not any Nasina that makes this. It's really Meiser Oni, and it's yours only because that's the din of what Meiser Oni is, that it belongs to Aniyim, people below the poverty line. So all the bailus that you have in Meiser Oni comes mitzad the Shem Meiser Oni, that was chal in this moment here. So there, and now, and the halacha is that it's not really yours. It is yours, but it's only yours mitzad hilchos Meiser Oni. So the halacha of Meiser Oni does not allow it to be yours lagaba gavaina. There's a din that the mummy has to be. In other words, in Meiser Oni, the din mummy has to go to the Oni, has to be the Onis and stay by the Oni. So you can't be gaivet. We'll be able to say that Hanaka has the same deal according to Rambam, that even after you give to the Eved Ivri, Bal Chovo can't collect Hanaka. So then Hanaka, so that because it's not chal, it's not a nesina from the Odin to the Eved directly. I give you a matana, and I'm mechuyev to give you a matana for the Abdus. It's a tip. No, it's a pshat is I'm mechuyev to give you Hanaka, and I make a chalois Shem Hanaka on the moment mitzad chalois Shem Hanaka. It's yours. It belongs to the Eved, and one of the dinim of so it's not even yours l'gabe to give it to the creditors. That's the pshat. So therefore, even after it's given to the Eved Ivri, the creditors can't take a crack at it. Now, so then what we could say is like this. What was our kasha? Our kasha was the Mandi Omer. How can the Mandi Omer say that loy v'loy l'macharatzmayim? Because he holds you can't be mamayit loy v'loy Lbal Chovo, because he doesn't hold of Shibura the Reb Nosson. Even if you don't hold Shibura the Reb Nosson, according to the Rambam, there's a chiddush in there that even after you give it to the Eved, and it's not a case of Shibura the Reb Nosson, the creditors, the nation can't get it. So why did you learn from there? Learn Vlo Lbal Chovo in a case. You don't hold it. Shibura doesn't talk about a case where it already reached the Eved that the halacha is Vlo Lbal Chovo. Teretz is like this because Teretz is the pasuk is talking about. The pasuk is telling me. You see, let's say you hold of Shibura Reb Nosson. So how did the Mandi Omer hold of Shibura Reb Nosson? How did he learn that? Also, Shibura Reb Nosson. What was the Vlo Lbal Chovo? That since this is a Chaloi Shem Hanaka, it's not a matan in Bialmo, it's a Chaloi Shem Hanaka. And it's not the halacha of Hanaka. That's why it goes to the Eved Ivri. So therefore, that's the same reason why you can't do Shibura Reb Nosson, because it goes to the Eved Ivri. It's not the Eved Ivri's mitzad the matana. It's the Eved Ivri's mitzad Chaloi Shem Hanaka, and Chaloi Shem Hanaka has a din that there's no Shibura Reb Nosson. So what that is maybe it's only Shibura Reb Nosson. Teretz says no. It's a gilui that it's not a matana. It's Hanaka is a Chaloi Shem Hanaka, and mitzad the hilchos, and mitzad the fact that it's Chaloi Shem Hanaka. That's why it belongs to the Eved Ivri, and Hanaka doesn't have a din of Shibura Reb Nosson. Because why? Because the Hanaka, the halacha of Hanaka is that it should stay by the Eved. It's for the Eved and not for any outside purposes. So he should use it up. He should consume it. So therefore, the same thing is after he takes it into his rishus. Even after it was chal on this Hanaka that it's supposed to be yours and you're not supposed to. It's only yours lagaba to use it yourself. That's how the Mandi Omer would hold. Yeah. Okay. So now, if there is no din of Shibura the Reb Nosson, yeah. So then you can't say Vlo Lbal Chovo lagaba Shibura Reb Nosson, right? because there's never a shibud of nasim. If somebody owes you money and somebody else owes that guy money, you can't jump and go straight to the first guy, right? So therefore, so if that din isn't there, so if the Torah said Vlo Lbal Chovo-The, so it couldn't be referring to a din like that, because there's no such thing as shibud nasim if you don't hold from nasim, yeah. So then you don't have the chiddush of the Chalosh Shem Hanaka, and that goes for the Eved's consumption alone, yeah. So maybe pshita that even after it gets to the hands of the Eved, there's no din of Chalosh Shem Hanaka. It's a matana b'alma, and it just so belongs to the Eved. So then why couldn't a creditor be goyva? So what do I do with the pasuk loy? Hanaktanik loy teretz. It's telling me that's only by Meicher Bezdin. I'm not chayiv to give Hanaka to a Meicher Atzma. So even according to the Shittas Rambam, it's good. The Gemara is good. He couldn't say it's loy Vlo Lbal Chovo-The. Yeah. So now I do want to use this concept of that's how you get a schusman mitzad Chalosh Shem. We have the Rebach Bear in Bava Kama and Bechashmul in Simon Lamed Daled. He brings down from Reb Chaim. It's also Shas. You can find it in Bava Kama Daf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph. I remember it was in Simon Reish Mem Tes. But he's the Rebach Bear says it over in the name of Chaim. So you have an Adis. Whatever's in the Shas is anonymous. So we do know who some of the people did, but we don't always know all the people, and we don't know how reliable it is. So that. But if it's Rebach Bear brings it down, he's a Talmud Movik. Now it brings down that the Reb Chaim's mechalik between hektish bedek abayis and hektish of korbanos. He says hektish by hektish bedek abayis by hektish korbanos it's chal kedusha, yeah, and now it belongs to it's rishus kavaya. But I mean, I don't even know if this is it's chal kedusha, and the hektish lebedek abayis, he's makna the chayfetz just like any other matana. He's makna the chayfetz to the rishus of the gizber, the rishus of the mikdash, and remember it's chal kedusha. So what it is it's akna, and that's what amrasa legvaya means. Kimsrasa lehedget means that just like when you do a kinyan by a hedget, that becomes hakno. So therefore, when dibra alone is hakno when you make a hektish bedek abayis. And that's what the Gemara means. The Gemara in Bava Kama and Daf Ayin Vav Amud Aleph says Mali Mochel Hedget Mali Mochel Shamayim. Gemara says that if you make a hektish, even though and hektish is would be Shino Hashem, and if it was after Yish and you made a hektish, so you got Shino Hashem and you got Shino Rishus, so it's shaykh to the Ganef could make a hektish, right? But that's the Gemara says you're chayiv for mechira. Why? Because mali mochra lahedget mali mochra. So you made a mechira. You made a mechira to hektish. Yeah. So it's considered a mechira, and you chayiv dal v'heg. Now, so that's why Taisus in the Ravid holds that the Brisa of Bava Kama Daf Ayin Tesam and Aleph says Ganav v'hiktish Mishal Dal v'hei is talking about after a case of where you're makdish lebedek abayis. But the Mishnah Ayin Dal on the base Ganav v'hiktish Tavach u'mocher Ein Mishal Dal v'hei is talking about Kachim Mizbeach, because there's no hakno. It's a straight hektish, so therefore it's straight asiyas kedusha, so therefore it's not considered mechir. And over there we say mikar toward the Reuven and l'bsaif toward the Reuven. But kachim is right. Now what's problematic about this? It's certainly Reb Chaim was different Reb Chaim, and as the Rebbe Ber is made. The problem with this is hafara. If your wife is makdish lebedik abayis, yeah, so a baal can be made for all the nidorim that his wife makes, including hektish. And hektish is nothing more than a netter. So the b'yam shamai, he has the right to be mefer, and mefer is mikana lahabel. It's megas gaius. It's not lemafreya like shayla. In other words, it's like it was kaddish till now, and he's able to chop to shut down the kedusha just like that. And as long as the rules are, he didn't do kiyam. He heard it was b'yam shamai was b'yam. There was a mess less. If it goes on too long, it becomes kama by default. But so if he keeps to the rules, he can be mefer. Yeah? And so what happens? So okay, the kedusha of the bedek abayis is leaves. But what happens to the article that she was makdish? Who was it? Sit out there, and is it hefker? I mean, according to Reb Chaim, you are makna this away to bedek abayis. So that now that you're mefer, then bedek abayis loses its bilus, and now it should be hefker. I mean, it's nobody over here. I mean, Pashup shot. It goes back to the possession of the wife. I mean, nobody ever says such a thing that by a far of a baal that the chayfet to the bedek abayis that the chayfet is hefker and kolakodim zacha. Nobody ever heard such a thing. Of course, it goes back to the rishus of the wife. The whole thing's bottled, and it's not. You gave it away. Once you gave it away, and then the kinyan to bedek abayis is bottled al yedei hafaras, and then should be hefker. So so this is a riot to Rashiv's side that side by hektish with mizbeach and side by hektish the bedek abayis it's chalois kedusha. And just that by bedek by mizbeach there is no kinyan. The mizbeach doesn't get a kinyan in the behemoth. But by bedek abayis, as a result of the kedushas bedek abayis, there's a reshus of hektish, and the reshus hektish has schusim and gets moment kinyanim moment, but it's not a haknos. So you never gave this when she was makdish lebedek abayis. She didn't give the article away to bedek abayis. She was makdish. She placed a chalos kedusha, and just as long as it's chalos kedusha and it's not bottle, it gives schusim to the reshus hektish, and now they can use it. They can sell it. They can turn it into cash. Use it for the upkeep of the Beis Hamikdash. It's not for kachim mizbeach. So therefore, when hafar comes along, so it's mikana lahaba, and it's bottled the kedusha, so it's bottled the schus moment. The sugis over there, the machlokas and the brisa, the mishnah, another day, another dollar. Perik meruba. What would the Hazar Rambam learn? Okay. But because of this hechrich, you see by Afara, you have to say that the chalais kedushas bedek abayis tuz oif, the kinyonim for hektish, and the schus moment for hektish. So we want to say, not that it's a riot, but in the same vein, we want to say that that's what goes on by Hanaka. The reason why the Eved has a din Hanaka is because Chalosh Shem Hanaka, and that's why we find that Maiserani, even if there's no Nesina, and the Ani goes into the Gairan and takes it against, without the Nesinas Balabayas, it becomes the Ani's, because you don't need a Noisen, because it's not a Hakna, and it since it's been determined that it's Maiserani, so Mitzad Chalosh Shem Maiserani, it belongs to the Aniyim, and this guy was Zeichet. This you don't have to have somebody to give it to choose out. If you're there, you can be Zeichet. So too by Hanaka. Now, this is clip 8, and since it's short, I'd like to say one more vort. You have on Tasvavam Bays, you have a three-way machlokes. So Yosef clearly says, now the halacha is by Nimkar La'akum. There's a din of gula. The krivim are supposed to go and save the Eved Ivri, and if it's possible, they have to come up with the money if it's possible. Now, what happens after they redeem him? So Rabbi Yosef says, then if it's the krivim, then the Eved goes free, Eved Ivri. But if it's zarim, so anybody can be goyal him. It's a mitzvah to be goyal an Eved Ivri that's been indentured to an akum. So if some non-relative pays off the akum, so then the Eved Ivri has to finish off the years to the zar, the non-relative. He's meshubah to finish off the years and pay him off. By that, pay him off for the money that was used for his redemption. The darshans in lo yigal be'ela v'yotze b'shnasa yovel hu bonavimai. It's in lo yigal be'ela means if the kroivim that were just mentioned in the pasuk dodo or ben dodo. So and it's literally gal be'ela, but by zorim non-relative. So therefore, yotze b'shnasa yovel he's got to stay because the halacha was that an imker la'akum does not go out b'sheish. So he stays to the yovel, so he has to finish off the abdus to the non-relative, right? This is, but Rabbi Kiva holds no, the other way. He has darshas the other way. Then if it's the krivim, they get the Eved Ivri to keep the Eved Ivri working for themselves, and if it's a stranger, then he goes out lecheres. And then then there's a third shita, that's Rebbe that says whoever's goyal him from the akum frees the Eved Ivri. So now the Gemara in Daf Chaf Aleph, Amud Aleph, has a shaila. What about a Nimker Yisrael? What's the halacha of an Eved Ivri that's Nimker Yisrael? Not Lakum. Is there a din of Gulas Krivim or not? I mean, even before there was no chiyuv to that non-relatives should be goyal him. So the only chiyuv is on Krivim. So is there a din chiyuv on Krivim if he's just a regular Nimker Yisrael? So the Gemara says, according to Rebbe, there's no problem. There's no problem because avada, there's no din. So according to Rebbe, it's vada that everybody, no matter who's goyal paid to him, he goes out lecheres. Avada there is no chiyuv. There's no chiyuv on the krivim by nimkar Yisrael. It's only a chiddush because you lose your money. So it's only a chiddush by a nimkar la'akum. But so that means that according to the other shitas, actually the other shitas can be bunched together and be called a chamen. One Yossi holds that what if the krivim are goyal, so then the guy goes out lecheres, and if the non-krivim are goyal, then he has to work for the non-krivim, and Reb Kiva holds just the opposite. But that's the chamen. So there is a chiyuv that the guy has. If there would be a halacha of gulas krivim by nimkar Yisrael, according to Rebbe, there's no halacha according of gulas krivim by nimkar Yisrael, but according to the chachamim, there is a halacha of, because he goes out lecheres, so there's no chiyuv for the krivim to be paid him, but according to the chachamim that they get to keep him, and he has to work it off under their rishus. So then it's a shaila. So then maybe there is a gulas krivim also by nimkar Yisrael. The only problem is something absurd comes out. So it means that according to the chachamim, anybody can go to a Adain who bought an Eved Ivri and just, buys him back, and then gets the Eved Ivri kicks out the Odin, takes the Eved Ivri for himself. I mean that's very schwer to believe. Yeah, according to Rebbe, that's what the Gemara meant. According to Rebbe, that everybody goes out l'cheres. So then, if there will be a halach of krivim, of gulas krivim by Nimkal Yisrael, so the krivim redeem him, fine, right? But it's not that somebody else can usurp the Odin, or even if you pay off the Odin, but that's not what he wanted. He wanted an Eved Ivri, and paying him off is not the same as the Eved Ivri continuing to work for him. So if you end up keeping him, okay. But if the halach is that he goes out l'cheres, so that's the idea is to give him cheres. Okay, fine. Yeah. So there'd be a chiyuv to free him, and that's mitzad the Eved. So you're gonna not be happy, you the Odin, you'd rather have the Eved Ivri, tough, right? But if the whole din is that you're gonna the Karev is gonna keep him, the Paida is gonna keep him, whoever gets to keep him, right, keeps him. Whoever gets to be Paida keeps him. So then every Odin can be usurped. Yeah. Now and Ram Paskas like Rabbi, that whoever's Paida him doesn't make a difference. The Eved Ivri goes out l'cheres. And he holds that you're not kai for the krivim to be Paida nam Evriya. Now, so in other words, Nimkar Yisrael, there's no Padiyah. So the Kesef Mishnah in Avodim Perkdal Halacha Beis, the Kesef Mishnah explains that the Krivim have the ability to be played in every review, even against the Ratzon of the Odin, but they're just not mechuyev. That's what the realm means. So and also a non-relative can be goel. Anybody can be goel, right? But the Lechem Mishnah over there disagrees, and he says that on the Kesef Mishnah, he says that the Shittas Ram is not only not even if they krivim wanted, they can't. If there is no Padiyah, now. So according to Kesef Mishnah, that everybody can be goel, Bal Chovo-The Ranbam, right? And if they, not that they have to, but anybody can be paid and goel Bal Chovo-The Ranbam. According to Rabbi Yossi Glili, that if the Tsar is non-relative is paid, he gets to keep the guy and then he works for him. So then we're back to that Sarkasha. Anybody can usurp the Odin and take him for himself. That would be an untenable din. So the Rishonim wants to say Teretz that he says like this. First of all, why is it called Geula? The Krivim, the non-Krivim. Why is it called Geula by Nimkar L'Akum? Teretz is it's mitzad the mitzvah of to be goel. It's a mitzvah to be goel. Right. Okay. So that's in other words. I mean, we know that it certainly applies to a nimkar l'akam. So now if the idea is, so what's the idea of this? If he ends up working for, I mean, Rabbi Yossi Glili says he ends up for Zar, he ends up working for the Paida, and Rabbi Kiva holds it for a car. He ends up working for the Paida, right? So what's the point of the Geula? What kind of Geula is here? I mean, he doesn't become Ben Chayr, he's got to finish it off by somebody else. So the Krivim, this guy was Paida. Yeah, Teretz is because when it's an Akum, then at least it's a Geula from the environment of a goy. I mean, there's assimilation. There's a possibility of assimilation in the environment of a guy. So we say that that's considered a gula if we remove him from the rishus of a guy, even if he has to finish off the abdus for the goyal, for the paida, right? But by Nimkar Yisrael, if the din will be that you keep him, and he has whoever it is, whoever it works, Zar, Krivim, the din will be that if he has to finish off the Avdus, the service for the Paida. So where's there a gula? That's not a gula. It's a gula from a bad environment because it was by a Yid. I mean, who said that the seed is a bad environment? Is it? All right, we're not worried. We don't have the implied assimilation here. So therefore, where is there gula? The only thing would be gula if there would be chayr. So that's why this avada va'avada, there's only a shaila of either there's a din of gula's krivim and gula which would relate to shikhr, and chayr. Not there's avada. There is not a possibility that by Nimkar Yisrael, if the din would be that there's a din of gula, and even if there's a din of and that the gula would be force the Eved Ivri to finish off to work for the paida. So even if not like Rebbe, even like Rabbi Yosef Lili, even like Rabbi Kiva, if there is a din of a gula by a Nimkar Yisrael, it would be l'cheres. Again, this was clip 8.